Okay, what we're starting here is a 9-10 or 9-8 nose rider board. On the floor I've laid out the template for the spar, which is the hardest part to do. I need to get a straight line across the bottom and then take measurements coming up to where the ribs will intersect. So you take that bottom straight line right there, and I run a string down it to give it a parallel to the original line, and then a spar cut out here for this is number 2. And what I'll do is I'll measure the distance from here to here and then transfer that to a piece of plywood that I'm going to use for the spar. And then my rib, I've already made all my rib templates, so the rib template is approximately this wide, and what I'll do is I'll put the rib template on the bottom part here and then mark the top. And I'll do that all the way down through all 9 ribs. Okay, so what I've done here is transfer all my information from the board to a piece of paper so I don't lose track of it. You can see 4 is 0, 5 is 0, 6 is 0, 3 is 1/16, 2 is 3/8, which means it's starting to taper up. So now I've come over here and I've put nails right in the intersection of the spar rib and the spar itself. And I'm going to put a piece of wood on here to give me a curvature that I can transfer over onto the board so that I can take it later with a bandsaw and cut it out. So what I'll do is I'll just take a springy piece of wood, put it on here, draw a line, and do that all the way down through the whole board on the spar. Here's a set of rib templates for a 9/8 nose rider and a 9/8 slider board. So they're all the same, it's just the difference is in the rocker between the two designs. So these are made of a 1/4 inch. These are made of 1/4 inch plywood, and I use these for routing out. So what I'll do is I'll take a stack of 1/4 inch plywood, put a template on it, run it through a router, and come out with something like this. You can see here. I'll take it through, put the template on, run it through a router. What I'll do is I'll take like 5 or 6 of them, stack them up, run them through a bandsaw, and then run it through the router to get them all even, and then I'll put lightning holes in it. Lightning holes actually do a very good job of reducing the weight. You don't need to have a solid piece of wood there, because what you're doing is you're going to be building an I-beam structure on the top and an I-beam structure on the bottom, and use Gorilla Glue, which has like a little gusset ability to it, so it gives it some more rigidity. But by the time you've put these all together, you've got 9 of them in there. You've got a lot of strength, a lot of torsional strength. Okay, so here I'm laying out the ribs, and what you have to do is be able to cut halfway through that, and then halfway through the rib face, through the spar, and make sure they fit. And I like to make it just a little bit loose so that you can adjust it left and right, because what you're going to end up having to do is to take this and make sure there's no gap between here and the other side against the board. And we'll put some trim plates underneath that to make sure that everything's level. But basically what I'm doing is just notching out everything and getting everything ready to glue it up, and then to put right angles on everything. Okay, right now I'm starting to drill out the lightning holes for the spar, and what I've done is notch it first, and then cut the lightning holes, because if I cut the lightning holes, it becomes pretty fragile in a longitudinal way, and then so by doing it afterwards I'm a little more careful, and I've got less stress on it because I'm not having to cut things. So there you go. One thing you want to do is get a good variation of Forester bits. This one is it's a whole bunch of them, so I don't know, didn't cost much. They're okay. If you can get the ones that are titanium covered and you got some money to do that, these are much sharper and they stay sharper longer. This set only goes up to 1 inch, but it cuts much differently than the just the plain carbon steel ones. So, and you can sharpen these, but it's a pain in the neck. One thing I'm doing here is trying to avoid getting too close to the rib cutout. To me, I think it's just taking too much stress if you get too close to it. I mean, you can really do that if you want, but I'd rather not. And what I'm doing is a progression of smaller holes to larger holes to larger holes, because with the variation of the bits I can do that. And then I flip it around, and to save time I do one side and with the same size and flip it around to the other side. Okay, everything is glued up now. I just want to show you that you have to level one side to the other so it's parallel to the bottom of the deck. And if you don't do that, then you can have a nice twist with all the ribs going different directions, so you won't have a flat bottom, and it's really hard to compensate for that. And then also you need to run a line down your work table here, a snap line, so you get a straight spar running all the way down it. So now all the ribs are glued in place, everything is fine. Next thing to do is to put the chine on, which is a little piece that goes in here and all the way down. And also then to get the nose plate on and the tail plate on. So that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, so now I got the nose piece in. Just one last time I'm going to check here, 3.5. And that's 3.5 too, so we're good to go. Also, wear gloves, especially with Gorilla Glue. That stuff's really nasty. You get it on, you never get it off. Okay, now I got the chine on, using tie strips to hold it in, and you can see the Gorilla Glue is starting to expand. So it's all the way up through the whole board, like that. And then on the nose and the tail, use a couple clamps to hold it in. And you might want to steam that bow right there a little bit. Put some, spritz it with some water, and then put an iron against it just to help it bend a little, so you don't get such an acute bend. Sometimes you'll get a very stiff bend here if you don't steam it.